Today we will touch on texture and time-based art. So there are only a couple keywords in this section. So I would like to start us out with asking how this texture of the sculpture makes you feel about the artwork. And that's kind of what we'll be assessing is how texture can play into a concept within a piece of artwork. So I'll give you just a second to evaluate this piece and talk about how you feel, think about it. I would say the smoothness makes me feel a little bit more calm, and it kind of looks aerodynamic, and that's being helped by the smooth quality of the sculpture. It could look bird-like or more modern, but the interpretation of it is it's not jagged or hard or hairy or rough. Now, how do you feel about this texture? This is a sculpture by Marie Oppenheimer, and it's one of my personal favorites of all time. But this is another way for you to interpret texture with objects that don't necessarily usually incorporate the texture. Marie Oppenheimer was a surrealist and was friends with Picasso. And the story is that at one point, Marie Oppenheimer was having lunch with Picasso and had met him, and he had mentioned that fur could be put on anything after looking at her fur collar on her jacket. And that is what prompted her to make this tea set using hair, was that one experience with Picasso. And it is said that when this was previewed at the Museum of Modern Art, a woman actually fainted because of the absurdity of it. When you have to think about drinking liquid out of a hairy cup, that can bring up some, ill feelings. Next, we'll look at actual texture versus implied texture. And these are just a couple of examples. Actual texture is something that you can physically feel and handle with your hands, and you can feel the texture, or the sculpture would have the actual texture that you would expect to have. But implied texture is more like this painting on the right, where you can see hair and you can see texture in the painting, but you couldn't actually necessarily feel any of that texture in person. Quickly, I will introduce you to different forms of time-based media or art. That could be video performance, film, audio, slide, or physical performance. The thing about time-based media is it must have a beginning, middle, and an end. Kind of like a song. So if you listen to the beginning of a song and the end of a song, you don't necessarily understand the entirety of it. So it has to have a cohesive beginning, middle, and end so that you can follow along. Next, you will watch a video about this performance by Marina Abramovich. The artist is present. This is a performance where she basically sat in the Museum of Modern Art with guests who could stay for an unlimited amount of time, and they would say nothing, but they would just look at each other from across this table. And this was a performance that uses time, so there's definitely this component of waiting and no speaking involved, but this performance would have a definite beginning, middle, and end. And next, I'll just insert a video of this performance and a quick rundown of what the performance was about for you all to view. And I hope you enjoyed the slide lecture.